Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 3 of the double neck guitar pickup upgrade. Okay, so at the end of the second video, you saw me starting to cut out the holes in the body for the control panel. So I've now finished that. So that's the hole for the control panel, and I've also painted inside with the shielding paint, and I've also cut out the holes for the pickups and painted inside those with the shielding paint as well. Another thing I've done is I've moved the bass jack from this end to the middle, so we've got them both in the middle, and I've also painted the inside of those with the shielding paint. So that shielding paint normally goes in, in the cavities of electric guitars. So in this case, will it actually do what it's supposed to do? Maybe, maybe not. Will it do any harm? Absolutely not. The only thing is, even when dry, this shielding paint, if you touch it, you get black fingers, and then of course that gets over everything you're working on. So I want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Right, I'm just going to set my timer so that I don't overrun on time. Okay, so the holes are cut. I made sure I cut them out as neatly as possible. It's quite tricky actually. Filed them and sanded them and then painted with the shielding paint. Obviously test fitted everything, make sure that everything fits, which it does. So I am now ready to start putting this thing together. So let me just turn the camera around and I'll bring it down a little bit. Okay, what's that? What's that going to be? I need to go up a little bit. 1 second, bear with me. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just put the control panel on there, not with the controls in it obviously. So, control panel, let's find my screws for that, should be 3 of those. Okay, can't get them out. Right. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and let's see, I'm going to want a fairly small screwdriver for those screws. Let's just check that one. That's not quite right. Let's try that one. So where's my small screwdriver? Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so 3 screws to hold this on. You see what I'm doing? Yeah, you can see. Okay, so I'm just screwing the control panel in place. It's going to make it easier for me to see where the pots go in the control panel, if it's already in place. So let's screw this in first. Ooh. Careful not to scratch it. It's already got a few scratches on it, to be honest. I don't want to put any more on there, and I won't tighten the screws fully down just yet. Get them all in first, make sure it lines up properly. So it's quite a nice stage to be at now, starting to actually put the thing back together. And I'm going to put the bass side in first, because that one is that's going to end up the one furthest away from the control panel, and therefore it needs a little bit of extra wiring extended wiring to reach from the pickup to the control panel. It's not difficult to do. I want to do that one first before I do the easier one, if that makes sense. And then once I've done both of them, then I'll tidy up all the wiring. Right, so that's in place. And I just want to check inside to see how much clearance I've got for where the control pots are going to be going. Yeah, it's not a lot of room, to be honest, but it should be all good. Okay, so next I'll actually put the pickup in. So off camera I've already extended this wire so that it will reach the control panel. So I soldered the wires together and then put some of this shrink tubing over it to make sure it's a good joint. But if there's going to be any, crackling or anything like that, that's probably going to be where the issue would be. So I'll bear that in mind. So I've got the pickup in the surround. So let's get that in place. Feed the wire through first. Okay, into the slot like that. And you can see I've already got some of that shielding paint on me, so I want to be careful not to get that everywhere. Just wipe that off best I can. Okay, so find the screws for this. I've managed to find some slightly shorter screws than the ones I had before, so they're not going to end up going right through the body. Hopefully they'll be wide enough. They should be, but I'm not sure yet. Let's get the right screwdriver for those, which appears to be that one. Yeah, they seem to be a nice snug fit, and as I said, they're not too long, so they won't go right through the body, which is good, and saves having to actually nip the ends off. Right, just make sure that lines up. And again, I'll get all the screws in before I fully tighten any of them, just to make sure it's all going to be lining up properly and not binding anywhere. Should be fine. Yeah, that looks to be lining up perfectly. That's good. That's what I like to see. Now, just to clear up any questions, I have tested these, both of these humbuckers before installing them to make sure they work. Even with brand new things like this, there is always the potential they might not work for some reason. So I have tested them, and they seem to be working perfectly as they should. Okay. That's all the screws in, so I'll carefully tighten them all down now. Don't want to over tighten, it's just going into wood. Okay, it's that one, and that one, and this one. Okay. Right, just flip it over, make sure those screws haven't come through, and they definitely haven't. That's fantastic. So that's it from the inside. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, it is a snug fit, but that's kind of what you want, really. Okay, so now I need the controls for the bass side. So the way it's going to be is, for the bass, it's going to be volume and tone, and then the other side, volume, tone again. So you usually have the volume at the bottom. Okay, so first of all I just need to just kind of put them in place where they're going to be going and see how they're going to line up, as it were. Let's just run that nut down so I can put it in a bit further, just to test it. I'm not actually going to install these in the control panel just yet. I just want to make sure that they're going to be going in and the same orientation. It's not that crucial, but you know, it just makes sense. Okay, I'm not sure how well you'll see that, but I'll try and show you how that looks with them just placed in there. So that the tags, if that's the right word, where all the wires join, sort of face in the same place, so that they're both in the same orientation. I am actually just going to find the nuts. No, I won't bother. I'll just leave them in place like that. That's fine. Okay, so I've also drilled a hole through this divider panel to put the wires through. So I'm just going to pop them through there. I've also got some more of this shrink tube on there, so that when I know where the wires are going to be going, I will put that shrink tube where that hole is going through there. And then that's just, it's more to prevent any chafing, so that the wires don't, you know, start to break through. That's not what you want. So let me just run all the wires through that hole so that I know where everything's going. And then I can start to, you know, see what wires need to be extended or anything. I think I should be alright as it is actually now. Because that was the only extension I think I needed to do, was from the humbucker itself. So I'll just poke all the wires through to where they're going. This extension is far too long. I will be cutting it down, but I just want to make sure I get all the wires in place where they're going before I cut anything, so that I know that I've got enough. That's not wanting to go through there, so give it a little persuasion. And I also want a little bit of give in the wires, so that, you know, if anything needs to be taken out to be adjusted or anything like that, we haven't got restriction of movement from the wires being too tight. Okay, that seems to be about right. So that's the wires kind of loosely placed where they're going to be going. I'm not going to do any of the tidying of the wires yet. It's pointless doing it at this stage. That will be one of the last jobs I do before putting the back panel back on. So that should work out just fine. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is put the jack in and solder the wires onto the jack. You need to see what I'm doing, and you really can't there, can you? Let's figure this out. Okay. Right, where's my jack? Where's my jack? Had it just now. Isn't that always the way? I had everything put out so that I knew where it all was. Now I can't find it. Alright, I'll come back to that then. Oh, there it is, hiding underneath the guitar. So, I've cut one of these jacks off and I've left some of the wires on. I think it's going to be easier to join it like that, join the wires to that, rather than, you know, desoldering the wires and soldering the new wires back on. So, first, let me think. Okay, I can wire them together, solder the wires together in here, and then put the jack through. That's going to be the easiest way. So I need to strip a bit of this wire back. Let's find my little blade. That one will do. see what I'm doing there? Not really. Let me zoom in a bit, see if that'll help. And so this is where I'm working. Can you see that? It's not great. Actually, let me put one of the studio lights on. That'll help a bit too. Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah, I didn't really get myself properly prepared for this. Okay, let's move that light in a bit. Okay, so I am going to be in the way of you actually seeing what I'm doing, but really all I'm doing at this stage is soldering the wires together. And I've also got to solder this wire from the pickup onto the control pot. Okay, this is going to be a really fiddly job. Really fiddly. Okay. Right, let's get me soldering iron. Get that plugged in, start to warm up. I thought I'd cut the camera off again then. Right, I need that. Okay. I need that. Solder. And flux, where's my flux? There it is. Okay. So first of all, I need to flux the ends of the wire. So the way I do it might not be the right way because I'm no soldering expert, but what I do is put the soldering iron into the flux to start it melting and then dip the wire in it to coat it with flux. That's one, and two. So that's now fluxed on those wires, and I'll do the same on these wires, being careful not to get onto the pickup. Okay, so I've now got flux on all of the wires, and what the flux does, for those of you that don't know, is it helps the solder to actually bond to it properly. So now that I've got those fluxed, I will let me think, I need to put a sleeve on this as well if I'm going to be joining it. Okay. Right, I've decided to change my mind and do this a different way. I am going to take these wires off. I'm going to desolder these and then solder these ones on. It's going to be easier. And I have to solder the wires onto the control pot as well. It is going to be a fiddly job, and soldering's not my forte, so I'm going to do this off camera. Yeah, as you can see, I've not really prepared myself very well for this. This video, not very good. But I'd rather do this off camera because soldering's not my strong point, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to got black paint all over my nose. I'm going to do this off camera, and then in the next video I'll show you how it all looks with everything soldered together and everything in place. And I'm only doing the bass side today anyway because I don't have the pickup surround for the other side yet. I've had to order some more because I had one and I damaged it, so I had to order some more. So I'm going to do this part off camera, and then in the next video I'll show you what progress I have made. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please take care of yourselves and take care of each other, and we will see you soon. Peace out.